Okay, so we're finishing up section 2.4 of learning how to use trigonometry to solve right triangles. And this is example 4 in your notes. Okay, so what I want you to notice is this a little bit different. It starts out the same. It says solve the right triangle, and it gives you two pieces of information. It gives you little a and little b. So little a and little b happen to be what part of the triangle? That's correct. It's the sides. So I'm going to write this down. I know side A is 4 centimeters. Side B is 8 centimeters. I'm also going to put in the picture. Side A is across from angle A. This is side A, and it is 4 centimeters. Side B is across from angle B. So if I go across from angle B, this is side B. This is 8 centimeters. Besides what they told us up front, we also know by looking at this, because it's a right triangle, we know angle C is 90 degrees. So I know when I'm asked to solve a right triangle, they're going to give me 3 pieces of information. This time they're giving us 2 sides and 1 angle. Okay, everybody see the difference? On the last video, we had 2 angles and 1 side. So again, let's find the easiest thing we can find using geometry. Well, we are given 2 sides. It would be really easy to find the third side, because we could use geometry. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Make sense? So on this example, I would do the sides first. If I know 2 sides, to find the third side, I could use Pythagorean Theorem. So I'm going to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So a is 4, b is 8. This is not any of our triplets, so we have to work it out. This would be 16 plus 64 equals c squared. I'd add, I get 80 equals c squared. To get rid of the square, I would square root it. So c would equal the square root of 80. Again, it depends on what they want. If on the homework it says give it in the lowest radical form, you need to break down the root. What perfect square is in 80? Well, 4 is in 80, but that's not the biggest. The biggest perfect square is 16. 80 is 16 times 5. So if we break this down, the square root of 16 would be 4 square roots of 5. So that would be it in radical form. If on the homework they ask it as a decimal, that will be an approximation, which means you need to use your calculator. So I'll go C is approximately. Let's walk to our calculator. Okay. On our calculator, you can either type in square root. Remember now, the square root button is up here in blue. So you have to hit second square root. Oh, how do I turn the calculator on? Bless me, I'm sorry, guys. So you hit second square root, and I could put 80 in. I also can type in 4 square roots of 5. So watch. If I type in 4, and then I do second square root and put the 5, it spits out the same decimal. So I don't care if you type in the original square root or the reduced version. Either way, if they ask for a decimal, they're going to ask it around. I'm sure they're asking it around to the nearest tenth. That would be 8.9, 8 and 9 tenths. And we're doing centimeters. So the moral of the story is, we do not always have to use trig. If we can use our geometry skills, let's use them. If it's a right triangle and we know 2 sides, Pythagorean Theorem is so much quicker. All right, is everybody good with that? Awesome. Here comes the harder part. We only have 1 angle. We have to find 2 more. Well, we know in a triangle, 3 angles add up to 180. We also know in a right triangle, angle A and B are always going to be complementary. These 2 angles have to add to 90. You cannot say they're equal. If these 2 angles were both 45 degrees, then these 2 sides would be the same length. So that can't happen. You can't assume these angles are 30 and 60. They could be any measure. So to find these angles, we have no choice. We're going to have to use trig. All right. Decide which angle you want to find first, A or B. I'm going to go in order. I'm going to find A first. I don't know that angle. I'm going to label it with theta. because that's the symbol we use to represent an angle. Trig is a relationship between one acute angle and two sides of the right triangle. Again, I want you to notice, even though we found side C, did I put that number in the picture? Nope. I always want to work with what was given. So my acute angle is not 90 degrees. We're never going to use the 90 degrees. My acute angle is my theta. I don't know angle A. That's my acute angle. This side that's labeled 4 is across from that angle. So it must be the opposite side. This side that's 8 centimeters, side B, is right next to it. It is the adjacent side. I know neither one of these are the hypotenuse because the hypotenuse is right here. I'm not going to label the hypotenuse because I know nothing about it. I don't care about it. All I need to work with trig is one acute angle, so either angle A or B, I'm using A, and two sides. Now, here's the decision. I got opposite and adjacent. Am I using sine, cosine, or tangent? I got an O and an A. O and A is tangent, TOA. So I will write the tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent. There's my rule, opposite, adjacent. I'm going to substitute in tangent. This time I don't know my angle, so I have to leave it theta. My opposite side is 4. My adjacent side is 8. Y'all with me? Now guys, on this one you don't want to cross multiply. Remember, who are we trying to solve for? Theta. Theta is here by itself already. We don't want to move 8 with it. Remember, the variable we're trying to solve for, we isolate. So what you're going to do differently is this. On the right side, you have a fraction. The calculator doesn't work with fractions. It converts them all to what? Decimals. So what you want to do is you want to divide 4/8. So go in your calculator and type 4 divided by 8. I'm going to do it with you. So I'm going to type 4 divided by 8, and it should give me 5/10. Okay? Now you're back to the whole lecture on how to use a calculator. How do you use your calculator to get out an angle measurement? Well, first of all, we got to know what we want our angle in. Do we want it in degrees or radians? Well, this is 90 what, y'all? Degrees. So they must want both of these angles also in degrees. So what mode does your calculator got to be in? Degree mode. Okay, we're going to go check that. So I'm going to go to my calculator. Okay, good, I'm in degree mode. How do you tell the calculator, here is a decimal, give me an angle? You don't hit tangent, you hit its inverse. So let's sit down. I'm going to clear this out. I'm not going to hit tangent, I'm going to hit inverse. So on the 30, I hit second tan and put that decimal. And here comes my angle. Now I know it didn't come out to be a nice whole number, so that's 26 degrees and some parts. If I use the pro, here's my pro. Again, I want an angle, so I'm not going to hit tan. I'm going to hit double click and hit tangent inverse. I'm going to put that decimal, 5/10. I got out the same thing. Now you have to read the directions. Do they want this angle measurement in decimal degrees rounded to the nearest 10th, 100th, or 1000th? Or do they want it in DMS form? This one on the homework said, give me the angle to the nearest minute. So they want your angles in DMS form. So you have to know, how do you change that decimal angle, which is in DD form, to DMS? So let's review. On the pro, we are in degree mode. This is decimal degrees. They don't want that. They want DMS. So we go to math, arrow over to DMS, and we go down to number 6. And in DMS form, that's what we get. 26 degrees, 33 minutes, 54 point blah, blah, blah seconds. On the TI, 30. Here's my angle. I'm in degrees. This is a decimal, so this is DD form, decimal degrees. How do I get it in DMS form? I hit my button. I arrow all the way to right. Oh, I missed it. I did it again. There I am, DMS. I hit answer, change to DMS, I get the same thing. Okay, now on the 30, the decimal doesn't go as far as it does on the Pro. It's okay. So this angle measurement, you would write theta equals 26 degrees, 33 minutes, 54.2 seconds. Then read the directions. I believe on this one they want you to round to the nearest minute. So if this is minutes and this is seconds, if I have 54 seconds, would this stay 33 minutes or would it round up? Remember, 30 is the cutoff. 30 seconds would be half of a minute, and that would round up. So this is 54. This is definitely going to round up. So we would say the measure of angle A is 26 degrees, 34 minutes. Everybody's good? Now, if we know angle A and B are complementary, these two have got to add up to what, y'all? 90. So to find angle B quick, we just got to add these two up to 90. So we could say, okay, 90 degrees minus 26 degrees, 34 minutes. Well, first lessons, put the zeros for the minutes. I have no minutes. I'm going to have to borrow. If I borrow from 90 degrees, that's 89 degrees. When I borrow a degree, that makes 60 minutes. 60 minus 34 is 26 minutes. 89 minus 26 is 63 degrees. So angle B must be 63 degrees, 26 minutes. So you can use trigonometry to find a missing angle, just like you can use trigonometry to find a missing side. You just got to remember when you're finding a missing angle, you're using those inverse buttons. Sine inverse, cosine inverse, tangent inverse. Okay. When I see you in the next lesson, now we're actually going to apply this to word problems. So be ready. I'll see you then.